Mississippi doesn't have any petroglyphs, so it's all about the mounds, and it's the Mississippi River that the state was named after. The Mississippi River borders the entire west side of the state, and the other side is Louisiana, but all up and down the Mississippi River is the mound building culture that goes back to the BC and really started in the northwest part of the Mississippi River and extending up into Illinois and following the Mississippi River. And that culture, they really spread out. They were doing quite well for a long time because they were building mounds into Florida, and the Florida mound builders, and hearing for the first time about Florida being the true Garden of Eden and the Gulf of Mexico being the true Fertile Crescent. I'm going to keep that in mind, and as I go through the states and learn more, I'm going to see if I learn about any other pieces that might fit that puzzle. And one thing that I did remember is that Edgar Cayce said the location of Atlantis was somewhere in the Bahamas, which is right off the coast of Florida. And Atlantis was said to have come before the great Egyptian pyramid civilization, and that all fits together with the idea of the Florida mound builders being the true start of the civilization of hominids, and the Gulf of Mexico as being the true cradle of civilization. The River of Isis, they say it's the River of Thames in Suffolk, England. I don't know why it wouldn't be the Mississippi River that has the name Isis actually literally in the name of the river. There is a lot of evidence that says the true River of Isis was the great Mississippi River. Basically, the idea is that Egypt in Africa would be more like New Egypt, because that civilization is said to have been around 5,000 years ago. The mound builder civilizations from Florida and Mississippi are said to be 10,000 years old. That's 5,000 years older than the pyramid builders. And they also wonder why all of a sudden the pyramid builders just started building these amazing monuments in stone without there being any evidence of them learning how to do this, probably because they didn't start from there. And it makes a lot of sense if they started building mounds in Florida and in North America. By the time they got to Egypt, they had built their skills enough to where they could just build the pyramids. Some interesting things about the cryptids in the state. At first I was surprised to find out there aren't as many Bigfoot sightings as I thought there were going to be. And then I started finding out there's more dogman sightings. That actually makes perfect sense because Louisiana is known for dogman sightings, and it borders Mississippi, and reaffirmed it by researching. I developed some technique for increasing the potential of encounters by bringing them to you, not hiking into the center of the most wild places, but just being on the edge of one. And now I might have an opportunity to test these theories out when I go exploring other states and other Bigfoot hotspots. I've never actually gone looking for dogmen, but there are quite a few dogman hotspots throughout Mississippi. Taylor, Winona, Hancock County, and Biloxi. It's in the center and then moves down to the coast. And as far as Bigfoot sightings, I combined the BFRO Bigfoot reports of eyewitness sightings and also the Elk Mound Bigfoot Research Center in Mississippi, and they really seem to be all on the outskirts of Mississippi. There are not a lot of Bigfoot sightings in the center. I love seeing the patterns. Most of all, they are in the southern half along the Louisiana border and along the Gulf Coast border. And then they run up along the east side of the state as well. But more than Bigfoot, it's the dogmans that are reported roaming around the Mississippi swampland wilderness areas. I hope Mississippi keeps those areas wild, that untouched area just left alone and left wild. There's even some reports of dogmen on the news. And from earreferencedesk.com, resources state early history Mississippi, they're reporting that a small primate species named Pilhardina lived in Mississippi 155 million years ago. Could it have been a little person like the one that they talk about in the Pryor Mountains and that we have an example of? But of course it was stolen. And then it says that 12,000 years ago the river was born, and 10,000 BC the first early civilization of people, and then they say 10 to 9,000 years ago the first evidence of human habitation in the upper Mississippi region. There is a difference here, according to them, of first people and first humans. Not the same. Then there's the paleoculture from 10,000 to 8,000 BC. But that all came to an end with the arrival of the humans, the Europeans, sometimes the Native Americans. But it seems like humans were the cause of the disappearance. And if it was a disappearance, they could have maybe gone underground. They were skilled enough to build pyramids and mounds. Maybe they were smart and skilled enough to find a way to go underground and hide. Tents, and tourists who aren't used to the severe weather in Mississippi need to avoid it during these months of intense rain, wind, and tornadoes. But the weather is part of the beauty that is the Mississippi River, because it's necessary for the river to be healthy, all that rain. And I do worry, I've been worrying about the decrease of water on the planet, and the Mississippi has absolutely 100% been losing water and getting smaller. And you can see these before and after pictures of Mississippi. Now there's apparently much more land in the area because the water has receded so much over the years. And it fits with my theory that water came from a comet and it dries up eventually. And now for my Mississippi tour. I'm going to start in southwest Mississippi along the Mississippi River and move north to central Mississippi and cut east, then move north, and then move west and then south back down the Mississippi, and then exit Mississippi in the central western portion of the state. Starting with, I would like to go to the Clark Creek Natural Area, and it has 15 waterfalls. These are the mounds that I would go to, and this is the order that I would go to them in. I would start with the Natchez Mound, to the Foster Mounds, to the Emerald Mounds, Windsor Mounds, Magnum Mounds, Boyd Mound Site, Elizabeth Mound Site, the Nani Waya Mounds, Old Trace, Bynum Mounds, Witch Dance Forest, move on to the Owl Creek Mounds, and then I would go to the Sky Lake Boardwalk, to the Jaketown Mounds, Lake George Mounds, Ingomar Mounds, Batesman Mounds, over to the Salomon Mounds, and the Swan Lake Mounds, which would put me the central western part of Mississippi along the river, and at which time my Mississippi tour would be done. There are some places that I missed. I did miss the Bear Creek Mounds, which borders Alabama, so I would try to go see that when I go on tour of Alabama. And that about sums it up for my Mississippi tour video. Thank you for watching this episode about the state of Mississippi, and I'm really excited to visit Mississippi. And until next time, bye!